Yo, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to Wildcard Wednesday. Today, I want to take some time and talk to you guys about what's been going on with me, um, where I'm at in this self improvement journey. Give you guys some, I don't know, hopefully words of motivation or inspiration, and kind of take it from there. So, I think this is a good kind of point to look back and assess how I've been doing so far, in terms of sticking to routine, uploading consistently, all those kinds of things. I think, honestly, I've left a good amount on the table in terms of consistently hitting the mark. Sometimes I feel like the quality of the videos that I've been putting out is, low to mid. And I think the only way that I just need to dedicate more time to making videos and think a little bit more, plan things out a little bit better, instead of kind of just extemporaneously putting stuff together and then uploading it, kind of on a whim. So, working on being more regimented. And in the name of being more regimented, um, I'm going to have all my stuff recorded by 10 p.m. so that I can just pop it in DaVinci, um, and render the project and upload it. So it'll probably hit YouTube. Videos should be hitting YouTube around 10 p.m. Eastern Time. That aside, I think I've learned a lot. Just how much goes into making a YouTube video. like, um, it's a lot easier to record things all in one take than it is to be intentional about framing and adding in background images and videos and transitions and adding effects and all that kind of thing. Um, when I installed DaVinci and was looking at all the functionality and things that it offered, I was kind of blown away by how much control you really have over the video making process, and like almost to the point where I was overwhelmed. Like, I had all these ideas, and um, I found it kind of difficult to figure out which tools I needed for the job. So I've kind of been taking the approach of, I'm just gonna put stuff out. I'm gonna pump stuff out, and every video I'll try something new, um, and through the process of elimination, I'll arrive at the end goal. Um, but with that being said, it would be very helpful if, people watching would give me comments and feedback, because that makes life easier for me. um, because I can only see things from my point of view. Like, I can try and um, pretend and act as if I have another set of beliefs or values or interests that could frame, um, the things that I take away from a video or the things that resonate with me. Um, but ultimately, it's just much easier if I have more feedback. So would love to hear more from you guys about, what you want to hear from me, what you think I can improve on, um, suggestions for, are there things outside the scope of every day of the week having kind of like a theme that you guys want to see. So those are just kind of things that have been floating in my mind, and I think, it may not be necessarily fair to put the burden of development on you guys, but at the same time, I figured I'd toss it out there, to see if anyone bites. That said, I think going back to hardship, obstacles, setting goals, I think I'll just kind of speak from my experience. So I've always been, relatively goal oriented, and I can thank my upbringing, my family, my dad for really instilling, um, those values and those practices and habits. But at the same time, as I've become more and more independent, I've had to kind of rediscover a framework that works for me, as opposed to just doing things because somebody told me to do something. Um, I've been really trying to be intentional and like have a reason for why I'm doing something and really buy into my goals, right? Like, um, you know, graduating from school, working it as an engineer for, a year and some change, I knew off rip that that's, not something that I'm super interested in. But and it was kind of the safe route, like, and it is the kind of the safe route, continue, and be perfectly fine, working in it as a mechanical engineer or, aeronautical engineer. Um, but it just like, I just didn't enjoy it. And through that process, and I felt like, you know, gaining competency in engineering was like detracting from other dimensions of my life, like socially, um, I guess fitness wise. I was always pretty conscious, and I've been pretty militant about getting to the gym. Um, you know, an average of 6 days a week over the year. But just like, I kind of just had this come to Jesus moment where I realized I'm in my 20s, I'm in my early 20s, and there's no time, like, there's going to be no other point in my life where I can take risks and pursue things that I'm interested in and and face this little of ramifications, right? Like, if I'm in my 30s, if I'm in my 40s, I have a family, I'm, a decade and a half into my career, and all of a sudden I want to, stop things and, go make a YouTube channel or trade on the foreign exchange market. Um, that would be pretty disruptive to life. And so when I kind of had that realization, I was really like spurred on to just like try different things. And that's been really exciting, and it's been a confidence builder because I've been trying things that like I have literally no idea about how to do. Like this whole game development thing. I mean, I played video games, but I don't know, and I am familiar with coding like C++ and Python, but the elements of game design, things that you think about, modeling, actually building assets and meshes, all that stuff is totally foreign to me, and it's just been, you know, looking at YouTube or reading forum posts and, trying to find what works. But actually, like, seeing the steps that I've been taking and the progress that I've been making has been incredibly encouraging and reaffirms in my mind that there's literally nothing that you can't do. Or should I rephrase? You can literally do anything that you set your mind to. You just have to not give up. Even if you face setbacks, even if you have to stop, as long as every day you wake up and you look visually, or you kind of tell yourself in your head your goals that you have, and you actually try to take actionable steps towards that goal every single day, no matter what happened in the past, it's like inevitable that you get to the point where either you actualize it or you see progress and you reassess things and you pivot. So that's been something that has been really cool to see. But I kind of want to speak on, or at least one thing that's always been kind of holding me back is paralysis by analysis. I'm the kind of person that is kind of naturally lazy, and sometimes I use, oh, I need to think about this thing before I do it, as an excuse to just stay comfortable and do what I've been doing and kind of go with the motions. And for a long time, I felt like I was stuck in a cycle of, I'm just going to do what I've been doing. It's been working for me. I'm all right. Things are fine. Other people have it worse. Other people are worse off. So it's not the end of the world if I don't take action. But like, I really had I don't know if paradigm shift is the right word, but like a realization where every time you listen to that voice in your head that says it's okay to, slack off, or it's okay to do a little bit less than was planned, or it's okay to, take a break, relax. Um, every time you listen to that voice, it's kind of like you're selling your future self out. Like, it's almost like you're saying, I care more about being comfortable than I do about succeeding as a person and succeeding in the areas that I really want to. Um, and then, after I kind of was thinking about that, I realized, okay, I need a trigger. Like, I'm very distractible. Um, so I need to come up with a mental trigger or a visual trigger that I can look at and will just instantly reset me, um, and kind of pull me out of that analysis by paralysis, or feeding into the rationalizing excuses. And for me, that's kind of rooted in family. I think, you know I need to be a role model as an older brother, um, and as the firstborn. I feel responsible for forging a trail and being stable and being a pillar that my brother can rely on, in his times of need, and a node in his support network. Um, and then also for my father, right? Like, he's getting older, and he's done so much for me and my brother. And, I terrorized him as a little kid, and, still continue to make mistakes that he's bailing me out of. And I'm so grateful to have him as a father. So, feeling that responsibility to him to, prove that all that investment was not just down the drain, um, is something that resonates with me internally. And so that's kind of been my trigger point whenever I'm, kind of in a rut or those kinds of things. And I say that not to impart that, love and familial love is transactional, because it should be unconditional, right? Um, but I think it's literally just a byproduct of me being so grateful for all the resources that have been invested in my development, that I just feel compelled to, like, be successful and maximize my capabilities, my faculties that I've been given genetically and through, uh, you know, the environment that I grew up in the schools that I've gone to, and the programs that I've participated in, and the opportunities that I've had that other people haven't had. Um, I don't want to waste it. I don't want to be wasteful. And so all those things kind of amalgamate into, like, this kind of trigger thought path that I think about, and it just instantly resets me, and I'm able to hop right back on the saddle. So I think, for other people that are feeling stuck in a rut, or feeling like, they can't even get started, find something some element of your life that resonates with you, that you feel strongly about, and create a trigger. Like, just think to yourself, be bored, take 10 minutes and think about something that really matters to you, and how that thing could be impacted by developing as a person in XYZ direction. And I think that also speaks to the power of emotion, right? Like, a lot of times when we set goals, we try to be extremely rational and left-brained, and every, you know, I'm going to do X, Y, Z at this time, and you don't even account for the possibility that maybe you're feeling bad, or you missed the mark, and you don't build in flexibility when life is not linear, right? Life is nth dimensional, right? It can take you in many different directions, many different twists and turns, and um, discovering how powerful emotion is in being like a motivating factor, or a guide rail to instill discipline, is something that I think is super important. So, kind of synthesizing logic, emotion, um, to create discipline. I think that's kind of the formula, right? Like, when you're working towards a goal, at least for me, I go into things red hot, blazing hot. I'm gonna do this, take everything onto the plate, and I just go, right? And I'm churning and I'm burning, and then I hit a pebble, right? And then I'm juggling some balls, and I drop a couple balls, but I'm still juggling most of them. And I look at the balls that I dropped, and I'm saying, that sucks. I'll do better next time, but I'm still doing pretty good because I'm juggling all these other balls. Keep going. And I'm still riding that unicycle, juggling the balls. And I hit another pebble, and I drop a couple more balls. And then maybe I pick up a ball that I had dropped previously. And so this kind of process is iterative, and it repeats itself until I look back and I see all the balls that I've dropped. This analogy is ridiculous, but I look back and I see all the balls that I've dropped, and it's like a come to Jesus moment where I'm sat there thinking, man, maybe I've been too lax. Maybe I feel like I've been disciplined. I've been productive in some areas, but I've also been maybe a little bit too lenient in other areas. So then, you sit down and you reset and you say, okay, I'm going to redesign the schedule. I'm going to redesign everything and make sure that I can juggle more balls for longer. Um, and and I feel like that's the beauty of self-improvement, is that if you go into it with the mindset of, it's okay to make mistakes, I'm just going to do better next time, it takes a lot of the heaviness out of it, and maybe makes things a little bit more encouraging, if you happen to be somebody that kind of gets stuck in their own head. I think also just realizing that nobody really cares. It's kind of sad to say, but nobody cares about you more than you. And if you don't do it, if you don't take that step, if you don't take action, if you don't go for your run, if you don't study the extra hour, if you don't go to your office hours, if you don't do the extra credit, if you don't stay after practice and run sprints, it's all the onus is on you. So only you are to blame. You can't pin the blame on anybody else. So it's important to give everything you can, so looking back, you don't have regrets. Like, it's much better to regret action, like something you did, as opposed to inaction, because you don't even know what could have been accomplished, right? It's like, it just stings a little bit more. It's like, oh, I could have, put in the extra effort, and maybe I could have achieved this, or had this impact on somebody else, or it's nebulous, so it almost hurts more, when you're looking back and regretting things that you didn't do, as opposed to, oh yeah, I made a mistake, it was dumb, I know exactly why I made that decision, I know now why I wouldn't make that same decision, and you can kind of move on and get closure. It's different when you regret inaction. I think also I was watching this YouTube video. I can't remember. It was, I was on some rabbit hole of YouTube motivation, and I came across this video by some guy that was, old and looked pretty established, and talked with, a resonant voice, and just kind of seemed very put together. And he was this old dude, and his whole talk was about why it's important to take action. And he had these three questions. Like, he framed everything as you have to answer these three questions, right? So whenever you have an idea, whenever you have something like a goal or something that you're considering doing, it's kind of beautiful, actually. So the first question is why, right? You start with why. Why should you do this? You list all the reasons, right? Then you say, why not, right? Why shouldn't you do this? It's gonna take time away from X. I'm gonna be tired, or it's gonna be painful, or it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be difficult. And then the next question is, why not now, right? Why can't you get started now? What's preventing you from taking action now? And a lot of times you get to that question, and it boils down to, oh, I just don't feel like it. And when you kind of bring that level of consciousness down to, what am I feeling? Sometimes we kind of go through life and we go through the motions, and we're not really in tune with our feelings or processing things and understanding why we're reacting in some ways to, inputs. A lot of that comes from that emotional component. And so you're sitting there and you're like, why? I can't seem to be able to do this one thing. Every time I sit down to do this, I just can't, for the life of me, muster up all the zeal and passion and drive to just, stick this out. And usually that comes from like an emotional level. So I think that why not now question is pretty powerful, because it forces you to put a name to that entity, that thing that's holding you back. And then once you put a name to it, it makes it so much easier to recognize when it's happening in real time. So like today, I got back from the gym. I ate dinner. I did I tutored, and I was like, shit, I gotta upload this video. I got 1 hour. I gotta bang it out. I made a promise to myself. I actually have 2 videos that I have to upload, and I was like, fuck it. I'm only gonna upload 1 video today. It'll be all right. It'll be fine. And then I went back to the 3 whys, and I was, thinking, all right, why should I upload my second video? Why should I not? Why not? And then why not now, right? Like, why can't I do this now? And I think that was something super poignant to me. Is like, every time you acquiesce and you kind of just, say, oh, it's okay, I'll do it later, you're literally like saying that you don't give a shit about yourself, like your future self. You're just pushing it on to future you, like treating him like, some, or her, like some disposable, lower class, like having some kind of cognitive framework where you respect and cherish and value your future self, I think is really important, and can help inform your decision making process in the present. So I'm going to think more. I'm going to come up with an analogy that encapsulates this idea, but I think that's pretty powerful stuff. At least for me, it kind of resonates with me. But that said, I think to kind of tie everything up in a nice little bow, motivation is not what's going to get you through to the finish line. right? Life is a car trip, man. Life is a road trip, and some people define success as getting to the destination as fast as possible. Other people define success as stopping at lots of cool places along the way and experiencing new things and letting that kind of color in the experience. Other people define success in life as, you know, finding a good crew of people to hang out with on the road trip. And all of these are valid rationalizations, frameworks for what a successful life is. Um, but inevitably, motivation's not going to cut it. It's not going to get you there. And that's where discipline comes into play. That's where habit building comes into play. If you can create routines and create habits, it makes achieving your goal so much easier. That's like number one thing. Number one thing I could stress is just make good habits that put you closer towards your end goal, and get better at developing new habits. That's it. That's the one. Get better at developing new habits. That's the key to everything. Literally the key to success, the key to performing well, the key to work-life balance. The key to everything is habits, habit building, and yeah, I think that's some powerful stuff. Kind of been rambling on. I kind of had a framework, but then I just said, F it. I'm just going to go from the top and kind of speak from the heart. Um, but yeah, so that I think that's just kind of where I'm at when it comes to motivation, drive, working towards self-improvement, how I think about obstacles along the way, and, being kind to yourself, being kind to your future self, being compassionate, realizing that, you're pretty much the only person in your corner, right? Like you have a support network, or maybe you don't have a support network, but it all starts with you. Um, and that should be kind of like empowering, because then it means the only person holding you back from whatever you want most in life is yourself. So, get to it. Work hard. All right, and stay juicy.